What's up, everybody? This is DJ Thielen, CEO of Fortune Foreclosures, founder of Flipping on Demand, and your host for DJ's Dugout. And we have an awesome guest today. I'm going to announce her in a second, but this is every week. We come to you, we bring you an entrepreneur, a professional athlete, an ex-professional athlete, a social media influencer, someone that can add value to your life and your business and help you live better. So today I got on a guy I've been friends with for about 10 years, founder of Investor Carrot, Trevor Mauch, all the way from Roseburg, Oregon, baby. I would stop and grow, well, at least Portland. What's up, buddy?
Dude, DJ, I'm pumped that we're finally able to make this happen, man. And I love seeing what you're doing, man. Love it.
Hey, man, and it's funny because we go back a little ways. I think we met in like 2007, and I still remember waves up in Seattle. You were up there for something, and we're actually talking about real estate and baseball, right?
Yeah, that's why we were up there. We were up there for a baseball game, for a Seattle Mariners game with some friends of ours. And I don't remember how you and I ended up connecting, but then we met at like a Starbucks or something like that. And
yeah, man, yeah. So now we're both doing our own thing, man. So it's cool. So you're in Roseburg. Hey, so tell the people on here, Trev. I put a quick little blurb, but kind of tell the people about who you are. We'll get right into who you are, where you came from, where you grew up, and that kind of thing, just so they have an idea like who Trevor is.
Totally, man. So yeah,
because some people have been living under a rock, and I know you're popular, so but for the ones that are living under a rock and don't know yet, we gotta give them something.
No, dude, for sure. No, I live in a small town called Roseburg, Oregon, like you mentioned. Just for reference, we're about 3 hours south of Portland, and an hour south of Eugene, where the Oregon Ducks are. I've got a beautiful wife, Carly, 3 young kids, 3, 5, and 8, or 3, 5, and 7, almost 4, 6, and 8. And I grew up in Klamath Falls, Oregon, another small town in Oregon. And what we do for work, I mean, I've been in real estate I bought my first fourplex when I was a college student at Oregon Institute of Technology in Klamath Falls when I was 21 years old. And that kind of got me started and got me bit by the real estate bug and the entrepreneurship bug. Since then, I've done several different things. The latest is our software company, Carrot, where we help thousands of real estate investors and agents generate about 60,000 leads online every month. So that's what we do every day now, man. But that's me in a nutshell.
That's keeping it simple. Hey, scoot to your right. Stay right. Yeah, scoot to your right a tiny bit. Just so. Oh, there you go. That's perfect, man. Just keep you centered. So, grew up small town. So, like, obviously, growing up, we're close to the same age. We were just chatting about that, and I'm not going to say my age on here, but basically, I'm 47, so just had my birthday. But you grew up in a small town, and I grew up in Portland, actually. So growing up in a small town in, the 80s, 90s, right? When you grew up, were there any things like from a mental standpoint or things that, not purposely, right? Like I kind of had in my life where, I grew up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees and we can't afford this and those things. They weren't said to like intentionally hurt me, but, they wreaked some havoc. And so when growing up in a small town, were there some things that and again, this is open, raw, those of you that this is your first time listening or watching the show, no scripts, no pre-planned questions. We just, flow and bring you some value. But were there some things, Trev, that like you personally grew up with that you had to break loose from as you started really, understanding the mindset it takes to be a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things, and I was definitely very fortunate to have parents and grandparents that had done entrepreneurial activities. So I kind of had that good example where my mom started a business in our basement when I was really, really young. So we had like customers literally coming into our house to plan weddings and stuff, and there was rows of shelving in there with napkins and plates and things like that for weddings. So that was really cool and interesting to grow up in that world. Just like, oh, there's just customers out there and you can offer something of value and help people. Next, my dad started a company after he lost his job and we were on pretty hard financial times. So that was just another defining moment before I was 10 years old, experiencing both of those. We never had a lot of money. It was just, I saw an example of my parents going, okay, I can go create my own job if I want to. So that was something I knew was a possibility. I was never around wealth by any means, but that was a possibility. The biggest thing, man, I think the biggest mindset, the reason I'm bringing that up, because I didn't have a lot of those money mindsets, that I think a lot of people are saddled with early on. I never really thought of money as a scarce thing for some reason. Not that our family had a lot of it. I just never really had that problem. Think about money as scarce. The main thing that I had to get over, dude, was, and I haven't shared this hardly anywhere. Like, it took me years to share this with anyone after college and everything like that. But I was born with a syndrome that's like a 1 in a million kind of syndrome. And I'm 5'6". I'm not a tall dude. Both my brothers are 6 foot tall. My dad's 6 foot tall. And the syndrome, that's a skeletal syndrome that impacts a lot of things. And one of the things that it impacts early on is the teeth. And so this sounds crazy and weird, but at the age of like 10 or 12 years old, I started to get some extra teeth that were growing in. And the dentists are like, what's going on? Like, we don't know what's going on here. So they actually sent me up to Portland, then Seattle, to figure out what this was, because no one knew what this was when I was 10 or 12 years old.
Wow.
This big old long name of a thing, 1 in a million kind of deal. It's not life-threatening, not degenerative, so I'm very blessed and grateful for that. But I had to have 2 surgeries at like 12 and I think 14 that took 30-something teeth out of my face. Like, most of them weren't even grown in yet. And they were pretty serious surgeries. And that left me with my formative years, my teens, basically 14 through 18 years old. I didn't have all my teeth. Like, they had all these braces that were trying to pull things in, a couple fake teeth in there.
Yeah.
Like, this sounds crazy, right? But what that happened, like, if everyone can imagine this, that you're going through probably the most vulnerable years of your life, young, junior high and high school, without the grill, man. I had like missing spots there, so I didn't talk much. And I think if people know me now, they're like, that's not possible. Like, it's not possible that Trevor didn't talk much. But that was one thing that I had to get over, is that I had to go, okay, I was dealt this card, and at the time I thought it was a pretty bad card. Now I'm like, sweet, I'm so glad I have it, because I wouldn't be who I am today without going through that experience. But I had to learn how to communicate really well, even if it wasn't verbally at the time. I also had to like internalize and make my confidence not come from other people, not come from outside sources. My confidence had to come from myself. And I think a lot of people, they kind of base their confidence off of what other people say or think about them. Mm-hmm. And early on, I had to just go, well, obviously I'm the kid who is walking around junior high with like 4 missing teeth. So I'm not going to get my confidence from the outside. I've got to get it from the inside. Now, I want to say this with this caveat, and then I'll move on, is I was never bullied, so grateful for that. I was never really teased much. And I just had an amazing friend set that I think just very blessed that I grew up around those people, that I never had to deal with that, right? But early on, I had to really go, okay, my confidence has got to come from within. How do I grow my skill set? How do I grow my ability to learn and to be good at things, and base my confidence off of that instead of other people's opinions? That definitely catapulted me once I got out of school, and once everything actually finally came in and grew to where it was supposed to be in my college years.
Wow, man. Yeah, I didn't know that about you. And the incredible thing is, that's I've had people on the shows and things, never heard anyone say that, but it's so vital, man. Like that confidence, it does have to come from within. It's not going to come from anyone else. You have to believe in yourself, and you and I are people of faith, both, and things. But aside from that, you have to have that belief in yourself. Some people carry it externally, some it's internal, like a quiet confidence. So at an early age, because of something, not a disease or anything, but something that you were born with, that helped you. It was a blessing in disguise, because it actually helped you to grow, confidence. so that to be kind of like that quiet, confident, not a a Muhammad Ali,
No, man, it was definitely the quiet confidence, right? And that was something that it's kind of funny because in the school years, high school and college, I started to come out of my shell more in college because I had all my teeth in by then. But in high school and stuff, it was interesting because I think everyone would have seen me as a confident person even then. And I think we all have those choices. My thing was this whole syndrome and teeth thing, but everyone else has their own choice of, do I go this way with my confidence and with my focus, or do I go the opposite way and let it really deter me and let it hit me down? And I chose, not immediately. I just kind of said, like, I was born with it, it's not changing. So might as well just like not wallow in it. I'm just going to use this as an advantage. And I did. And I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, man. And now, you have a thriving business, which we'll talk about. But that's so cool, man. We obviously, we have our clients that we work with and members and things, and you have yours. That is something, man, that is, people get information. I don't care what they buy, right? They could buy software, a course, a car, whatever. But whatever if they don't have that belief in themselves, it's unbelievable that you can have you can take two people. One person has a lot of confidence and really believes they can do something, and they have very little talent and skill. And another person has all the talent, skill in the world, but they have fear, they have barriers, they doubt themselves, they overanalyze things, they never go for anything in their life. If they do, they quit because at the first sign of resistance, they hit a little speed bump and it becomes, in their mind, it's a mountain, and it's another thing that's not going to work. And I know that you have to see this with, members and things like that. So what are a couple of things, let's just say two, that you see with people working with, thousands of clients? What's something that you see from a belief standpoint, or a way that that you share with them on how to increase that in their own lives?
Yep. Dude, here's a couple things and some specific examples from my own life. So I graduated college, moved up to Portland with my wife, Carly. And during that year, I decided to not get a job. I'm like, I'm going to give myself this year, not sabbatical, but I'm like, I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to try to figure this entrepreneur thing out. And so another lesson that I learned during those early years, I learned patience, right? Because when you're 14 years old and you're looking at your whole junior high and high school career ahead of you, and you know that these braces yanking all these teeth down out of everywhere those weren't a year or two. There was I was in braces till I think sophomore or junior year in college. They told me that early on. So I had to start to learn patience really early on, man. Okay, I have to be ready over the next 5 or 6 or 7 years to have this all actually happen. And so when I got out of college, patience was something that I had more of than many other people. So a lot of my college friends, they were graduating and they take the high paying job out of college, and they're like, man, I'm making 55, 60K a year, and I'm coming out of college bringing our average starting salary at OIT down. Like, I'm making like 15 grand the first year trying to make it as an entrepreneur, but I had the patience to stick through it. Right. Yeah. And so that's something I'm always talking with our clients about, and my family and my friends, is anything worthwhile takes longer than you think it's gonna usually. And so that first year it didn't happen, but I had this mindset of, it's not a matter of if this is going to happen, it's a matter of when it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if I can do this or if it's possible. It's a matter of when it's going to happen is the only variable. And then in between that, I've just got to figure out what are the steps to make that happen. And so I adopted that mindset really early on. And even when I was hitting failure after failure after failure and paying my taxes that year on my credit card and doing all these things, I still had the patience to go, okay, I know other people have done this. It's not that it's impossible. They've done it. The only variable is, do I have the stick-to-itiveness enough to be patient and work my way through figuring out what I have to do to make it happen too. So whenever I'm working with clients and they're 3 months in, 4 months in, looking to ramp up their online leads, 2 months in, they're like, it's not working. I'm thinking about giving up. I'm like, y'all, here's the path and here's how it works. And I can guarantee you that momentum doesn't happen immediately. Momentum happens over time. But once you got it, then it goes fast. Get to the momentum point, and then things are going to happen. But most people don't let it get to the momentum point. They give up. They have no patience.
Yep. Oh, dude, absolutely. Hey, and don't you wish that they had these back then, Invisaligns?
Yeah, dude. So that wouldn't help. I need one of those now. This tooth like starting to move on me. I got all braces, I got all pretty and stuff. Then this tooth is like, I need one of those now, man.
Smile direct, baby. Smile direct.
That's right.
But yeah, man, patience is so funny you said that. I was I've been hearing that a lot lately. Like I heard a deal from Grant Cardone on that, and someone else on that. And it's like literally in the last week, I've been hearing this over and over again. And for you to say that was like, it's so true, man. And, I share with people, it's like, hey, the hardest part of anything is getting the momentum. It's getting that big rock and that moving. It takes a lot of effort. But once you have the momentum, you do, be it leads, right? You get one lead and it's like, oh, great, you get another, and pretty soon it's like, God, it could take you 2, 3 months, 5 months to get that first buyer, but then you get one and you get, 5 or 6 the next day, right? And it's just, and so getting that momentum, and you're exactly right, man. We see the same thing with people. It's like, well, I got to do a deal this month. It's like, you know what? Do you want to build something great? Do you want to, you told me that you wanted to change your family's legacy, and you wanted to do, leave your job and create your own freedom and have all these things. But, oh, well, I have to do it in the next month, or I'm just going to stick at my job. That makes no freaking sense. You know what I mean? But that's the what I think it is what it was for me was that, fear is a safety mechanism that we all kind of can default to, and it's there to protect us. So anytime something happens, where it's like, oh, and all of a sudden, subconsciously, we default, to this direction or this behavior or, this particular decision, and say, oh, well, you know what, this isn't working. And I think, what people have to look at, man, it's like, hey, if you're staying consistent, if you're taking the action you need to do, it's unbelievable how easy that you can make stuff for people, and they get one lead and they're like, oh, it doesn't work, right? It's like, dude, go get 10 a day. Like we have, you should be getting 5, 6, 7 a day. And then if you get a lead, did you call them? What did you say? Did you text them when they didn't answer? All these things. And once you start peeling the onion back, it's like, holy crap, man. Like it's a complete self-sabotage of basically finding a reason to fail so you can stay where you're at. And it's subconscious and you don't even know you're doing it, but that's exactly what's going on. And I'm sure you guys see that same thing.
Dude, it's really common. I think we all do it sometimes. We probably don't even catch it. And that's kind of one thing that I had to do early on too, is kind of flip my risk profile. And by flipping my risk profile, what I mean is most people, and I was this way too, most people look at a situation and they go, what is going to happen to me if I do that? I look at the situation the opposite, and I'm like, what's going to happen if I don't do that? And I think when we're in the mindset of what's going to happen if I do this, then you're always going to be hesitating on taking that next step, because you're looking at, this is a known, like I know what my today is. I know what my life is today. But if this happens or I take that action, I don't know what that's going to look like on the other side. Like that, you go back to the money mindset conversation. What if my family was the one that instilled this bad money mindset into me, and really, money is the root of all evil and like all that kind of thing. But I really want to go the other way. And I'm sabotaging because I'm thinking, well, what happens if I actually do that and I'm successful? Am I now going to alienate myself from my family? I've heard that story from people. Like, that's not what I made up. I heard that from one of our students before, and we worked them through that. But if you can flip your risk profile from what's going to happen if I do this, to then flip around and go, okay, what's the worst case scenario if I do this? That's the first thing, because the worst case is usually not as bad as you think it is. And the worst case scenario for me up in Portland, when I was looking at that going, okay, do I get a job or do I try to be an entrepreneur for a year? The worst case scenario, dude, was I made no money. I racked up some credit card bills. Maybe I couldn't pay my rent, which then in Oregon, it'd probably take 2 or 3 months to get me out of there anyway. And then I'd have to move back in with my parents, which that's not a bad deal. Like 3 meals a day. Maybe it might suck for a little bit. 3 meals a day, a nice comfy bed. Like, okay, that's not as bad as not going for my dreams, not going for the thing. So figure out your guys' worst case scenario first, write it down. And then next, on the flip side of it, this is how you flip your risk profile. Now go, what if I don't do this? What am I guaranteed that will happen if I don't do this? And that's what scares me more than the worst case scenario usually is when I was doing that that flip your risk profile kind of exercise early on. I'm like, man, if I don't do this and keep pushing through the hard time, man, what am I going to be like in 10 years and 20 years and 30 years? Am I going to regret it? Am I going to actually be chasing after my dreams? Am I really going to be providing the value that I know I can? And I'm like, man, that scares me more.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, just, we do things for, Tony Robbins talks about this, to either avoid fear or to gain pleasure. Yep. Right. And so you call it, so that strategy that you call it a flip your risk strategy. So you take something, explain that again for people listening to this, because I think that's something that people can really take away from this and help them in life.
Totally, man. Yeah. So flip your risk profile. And the first thing is look at the thing you're about to do that you're kind of afraid of or scared of or hesitating on, and figure out what's the worst case scenario of that. Work it all the way back. Well, worst case, like let's say with real estate, let's say they're going to buy DJ's coaching or whatever it is. Okay. Worst case scenario, they could work that all the way back and then go, well, is that going to break me? Is that bad? Or, buying the car or quitting school or quitting the job, whatever it is. What's the worst case scenario? It's usually not as bad as you think it is. Okay. Now, even getting your house foreclosed, like that sucks. It does, but it's like, I don't know, what's the worst case scenario? In 2 years, your credit's not going to be that great, but you're going to be living somewhere. I guarantee you'll be living somewhere in 2 years. You're going to be stronger because of it. It'll suck during that time, but a little bit of your ego got hit. Like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But then on the other side of it is then if you don't do it, what am I guaranteed will happen? Okay, that right there, that word guaranteed is the part that hit me, because the other way around, it's what may happen in its worst case scenario. That's not a likely. And we're not saying what will likely happen if I do this. We're saying what may happen in the worst case scenario. May. On the other side of it is what will guaranteed happen or not happen if I don't do this.
Yeah.
And so when I started to think about it that way, I'm like, whoa, so these are way completely different options. Over here, I'm guaranteeing I'm never going to get the result, guaranteeing I'm never going to have that thing in my life, guaranteeing I'm never going to have that if I don't take this action. Over here, there's a possibility that it might not work out. Like, whoa, then the decision's black and white. It's so easy then. Like,
dude, that's huge, man.
This.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. If we got a lot more to go, but if we stop the show right now, like that is worth, dude, that's priceless, man. I mean, that's like, cool. That's absolutely huge. I'm going to use that, man. I mean, it's, and it's crazy, man. As I have people, before I forget, because my ADD will kick in, let's share with everybody, just share with everyone how Carrot was formed and how like our relationship kind of not that I I know it's a big company, not that I'm asking for a percent of the company or nothing. but share with people kind of, and this happens, you guys, this is like when you build good relationships, when you keep friendships, when you stay engaged, right? You can't call someone once, you can't, like, people call somebody once and they go, oh, I called them or I texted them. It's like, stay engaged, patience. Trevor's probably on my holiday list. I don't know, probably got texts from me on holidays, right? Hey man, happy holiday. He reaches back. Hey man, do you know anyone that can help me with some website stuff? And tell what happened from that.
Literally, that's what it was. So I think it was like 2012. And anyone who's followed the Carrot Cast or followed my story, I tell my kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but the story where I figured out entrepreneurship, or I thought I did. I built a company I hated after I made some good money. I started not want to do my work anymore. Then I started to part ways from all of the things that were dragging me down energy-wise. Got around the right people, and then I had this idea, right? This other idea, and also I wrote down 5 non-negotiables for me for business. Going, any other business I ever start in the future will have to match these 5 things. If it doesn't, I'm not going to do the business. Or if it turns into that midstream through the business, I'm going to flip it back around, or I'm going to sell it or shut the business down. And so that was around that phase when you and I had we'd already known each other, but that was around that phase when the website thing came up. So yeah, we had met each other. We had stayed in contact. I don't remember, honestly, I don't remember the specifics about what we had done before that point, just other than pinging each other, staying in contact and things like that. And you had a good looking website for your real estate business. And I think your brother did too, or something like that. And when I was looking at spinning off this other product from my other company that seemed like there was demand for it, which is what became Carrot down the road, I reached out to DJ and a few other people to say, hey, do you know like a really good WordPress person that can help me with some of this stuff? And DJ introduced me to his guy, Chris, who lives in Salem, Oregon. And at that time, DJ was in, were you in Tacoma or something like that? Yeah. And so Chris, get on the phone with Chris, and he's just this website developer guy, and seemed like a good dude. And I'm like, okay, I've always had so much problems with all web developer people, like all the time. And you made the connection there. And it was usually because I don't explain it well, and then I don't have the right person. The right person just makes really, really garbage results. And so I'm like, I'm going to test them out on a project first. It's not like critical. And the funny thing is, dude, I was at a mastermind with Greg Clement that year in his mastermind, a good friend of mine now. And there was a person in there, which you probably know, that these people are really good real estate investors. They were starting a company on the side that was teaching people in Michigan how to legally sell marijuana as a medical marijuana grower, or whatever you call it, right? And anyway, they're like, we need a website. We heard you're really good at setting up websites that convert well. Do you do this? And that's what my main gig at that time was, consulting, because I just sold all my other stuff. I was in this year where I was trying to figure out what the next thing was. So I'm like, hey, Chris, new web guy that DJ introduced me to, I've got a project for you. So I took on this project from them for a website called makemoneywithmarijuana.com. And I can only imagine what this guy, he's like, DJ, who'd you introduce me to? This guy, the very first project he sends me is
I never knew that either. So yeah, that's funny.
It's launching a marijuana website. And it was all on the up and up. Like, it was all legal and all that stuff. So we used my framework, my high converting framework, to build that. That was the first project Chris worked on with me. And then next, he built my dad's, going back to my parents' story, he built my parents' website for their party store, Party Time. And that website's still up today. And then after that, it was like, okay, now I've got this thing over here. And then he dove in and started working on it. And this is a lesson I want to give to people, because I think way too often people, they look at their business and whatever they're looking at building, they go, okay, I want to run this solo because having partners or employees is a pain in the butt. I've heard nightmare stories from business partners. My last 3 companies have all been business partnerships. And I so believe in business partnerships with the right people. If you choose the wrong ones, it's the worst thing in the world. You've got to plan the divorce before you ever get married. And that's something I've done with all these business partners. We plan the worst case scenario. We could put the contracts in there. Worst case scenario, how we're going to get divorced first. And then we end up just operating really well. That's the mistake a lot of people make, because they don't plan the divorce first. But then what we did was, I just hired him as a contractor. So a lot of people go, oh man, I'm adding up the salary, $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month or $2,000 a month. And then they times that by 12, and then they're looking at, oh, $40,000. And I did the same thing. But in actuality, I could hire Chris and hire him for 10 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And then it's only month by month. I'm like, okay, so it's only like $500 or $600 or $700 a month. I can handle that. And then as we grew, like, can I buy 20 hours a week? Can I buy 30 hours a week? And then eventually within a year, the conversation was, hey, Chris, what would it take for me to buy all of your time? And here's this carrot, no pun intended or pun intended. Here's this carrot I'll dangle in front of you that you can vest in ownership in the company if we hit these milestones, if you just want to put all of your energy into this. And he did. And, the rest is kind of quote unquote history, as they say.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's it's amazing. You know, when talking about patience, man, I think that is like we could talk about that all, and I mean that could be like the topic of this one because we haven't talked about it on other shows, but it's so vital, man. Uh, it's such a like missing component, and I think as I've gotten older and more mature and more gray hair and those things, you know, I have kind of acquired, I don't know, you can call it like emotional intelligence or something. I think it's just being aware of where you're at and understanding that, hey, that's okay. I'm going to try this. Maybe this didn't work. Maybe this did work. And a lot of times, listen, you guys, I can tell you from Fortune to flipping, Fortune foreclosures to flipping on demand to anything I've done, I've tried way more stuff that has flopped and not worked and put so much time and so much energy into it. But I think I just, you know, I think the more that you take chances, the more you take risks, and you're like you said, you know, it's like, oh well, like so what, you know, like I'm not like in the hospital, I'm not limping, I'm healthy, you know, and you just keep focusing on what you're grateful for. That man, you just have that patience, and you just keep working it. You keep working it because, like you said, you know, if I don't do this, I know I'm guaranteed to stay at this job that I don't want. I know I'm guaranteed to never bring my wife home. I know I'm guaranteed to never build a business that I want to build. You know I'm guaranteed to never ever create wealth. I'm trading my time for money. And that's huge, man. I think that's a big takeaway for people that are watching or listening to this to say, hey, no matter what you're looking to do, you know, step out in faith and just go for it. Because if you don't change it, nothing's going to change, you know, like they say. So, hey, I want to talk about energy. You brought something up on that. And you and I've never talked about this topic. We've never talked about any of this really. But, you know, as you know, I'm big on energy. I swim in the morning. I you know, do my prayer, I meditate, and I really try to get my, you know, my energy right, and where I'm feeling good. I'm happy, really just like in this feel good kind of like happy state. And that's really vital to me in the mornings. And obviously the people I'm around and having good energy and being happy. Like if you're not fun to work around, man, like, hey, I love you, but we can fist bump and you know, you gotta go. So like talk to me, just even if it's a couple minutes, from an energy standpoint, what have you found with yourself as someone that's built a very you know, successful company, you know, multi-million-dollar company? What would you say from an energy standpoint that that you do differently now, and you guard against certain things that maybe were toxic or that were stealing joy from you, or stealing you know, basically just stripping happiness away from you?
Yep. Yeah. So there's a few things. There's mindset, and I'll go into that here in a bit. There's your like physiology that is massive on energy. You know, what are you doing to your body and with your body to help it be a power plant, so it's creating energy. And the things that I wasn't doing before, and I'm gonna go to mindset first, because a lot of people are probably thinking, oh, it's like meditation or positive talk. Like that's all good stuff that helps. But I think everyone can relate to this. Who watching this can relate that you might have a hard time waking up in the morning right now. Let's just make this up. Let's say you've been trying to wake up at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, whatever your number is, right? And you're struggling. But if you have a buddy who's going fishing and you love fishing, when you guys are getting out of there at 4:30 in the morning, or you've got a flight that is going on vacation, you got to leave your house at 3:30 to get to the airport at 4:30 for a 6:30 flight. I guarantee you're popping right out of that bed. You're not hitting the snooze button, and you're on with your day, and you never even had an issue waking up that day. So when a lot of us go, well, we have a tough time waking up, it's more of that we're not excited about what we're tackling that day. So, excited enough to actually get out of bed and stay out of bed. And so when I would get up and do a mountain bike rides at 6 in the morning, and I'd be up at 5:15, no problem, or go fishing, and I'd be up at 4:15, 4:30 for the drive. I was looking at it going, why do I have such a hard time getting up early in the morning for my normal work day when I don't have any problem at all to do these things? So it has nothing to do with me and my ability to wake up. And I think a lot of us make those excuses. I'm not a morning person, right? It's that you don't have things that give you energy and excite you in the morning to do. So how do we then change our mornings to where they give you energy and they're exciting to you? So the first thing that I started to do way back when was I created this thing I call the energy audit, and I can give you guys like my template for it, no opt-in required, nothing. I'll just give it to you to download. Are you cool if I just give them the URL right now? Like no opt-in or anything?
Yeah,
right?
I'll put it all for people that are listening to the podcast, but I'll put it on the screen. What is it?
Cool. So it's oncarrot, oncarrot.com/energy. Oncarrot.com/energy. You can go get it. No opt-in required. Just download it because I want everyone to use this. It changed my life. And it took me from a point where I didn't want to get up.
I'm not the greatest speller, man. I wasn't good in school. Is carrot CARROT?
Yes,
oncarrot.com/energy. Okay, I just posted it on. I just posted on here. So those of you watching this, go there, get a free download. But go ahead, buddy.
Yep. So what I did at that time, and it took me 2 to 3 years to really come up with what my energy audit is today, and I use it. When I don't use it, I feel it in a big way. I'm not as consistent of a person as I want to be right now. But when I use it, it's amazing, which is most of the time, but sometimes it's not. So I wasn't wanting to get up in the morning before. I wasn't excited about the work that I was doing. That's why I got rid of those other businesses. And I started to go through and create a list, which this energy audit explains and it does with you. But I draw a line down the middle of the piece of paper. And someone told me, hey, if you like write down all the things that make you money and don't make you money, like you should be putting your energy and efforts towards the things that make you money. And that's what I was doing the previous 2 or 3 years. I was doing a line down the middle of the paper. Here's the things that make me money. Here's the things that don't. Let me delegate the things that don't make me money, and let me do more of the things that make me money. Awesome, I made more money, but I became more miserable too. And so some advice that I've got, which is really, really bad advice, I feel, is people have told me before, hey, you know your unique abilities. You know your unique abilities or your superpowers or whatever people call them. When people tell you you're great at this thing, they'll pay you a lot of money to do it. And so I'm like, sweet, people are telling me I'm really good at this stuff, and I'm getting paid a lot of money to do this stuff, but why am I so miserable? Like, why do I not like the work that I'm doing? If you're not excited about that work, your energy is going to get torpedoed. So I'm like, okay, I still feel that there's something here, but I don't think the words at the top of that piece of paper are right. Let me write gives energy, drains energy on there. I'm like, okay, now let me base my life off of what actually gives me energy. I'm not going to look at money anymore. Like this is after I got rid of my other businesses. I'm like, I just want to build a business in my work that gives me energy that I love and I enjoy because life is short. And so then I'm like, all right, let me just craft my work around things that give me energy that I like to do. And so I started to write that list. And on the right side, give energy. I'm like, I love strategy. The other side of the thing, execution of that strategy kills me. Like, oh man, I will delay and delay and delay on that forever. But it's like, then I'm wrestling in my brain. Well, how do I make money then? I can't just like be a strategy guy all the time and not have it be executed, because in my previous work, I was the guy executing and creating on the strategy. And then next it was like, man, I love doing interviews like this, but I don't really have a product to sell in these interviews. And then eventually over the years, I'm like, well, I could just do these tasks and not sell anything. I could just do them just because they give me energy, because I like it. It's going to make all my other work that day better. And so I had this list of both things that drained my energy, things that gave my energy. And then I'm like, cool, now I at least have an audit. Over the next year or so, I'm like, well, there's still something missing. And what was missing was this, the next level of it. I'm like, okay, what if I like put percentages by them? What percent of my week would I say is in these buckets? Okay, what percent of my work week or my life am I in this bucket of energy draining stuff versus energy giving stuff? And at that time, it was like 80% of my time in energy draining stuff, even though it made me money, and then 20% in the energy giving. So as you guys can imagine, if you're in 80-20, if you're doing more things that drain your energy in life and business than that give you energy, you're not going to have much energy to live and to be showing up for your spouse, for your kids, for your friends, for yourself. You're just not. It's not going to happen. So then I started to put the percentages down. I'm like, okay, I've identified something. Like they say, what's not tracked can't be changed, right? What's not measured can't be moved. So I'm like, okay, this is measured now. Now I can move it. Now my whole goal is to go, how do I flip-flop it from 80-20 to 20-80? How do I flip-flop it from 80% draining my activities to 80% giving energy to me? And it took about 2 to 3 years. It's not immediate. It took me a long time. I'm a slow learner. But what I did was every single quarter.
You got good patience.
Yeah, exactly. I have patience, right? But every single quarter, and I'm looking back here, I have a stack of energy audits on my thing there, printed off. But every single quarter, I get out the physical energy audit, I put it on my desk, and I go, okay, let me do an energy audit. Or when I'm feeling drained, when I'm feeling like I have a lack of focus, when I'm feeling like I'm just like wore out, which happens today too. We all go down those wrong paths. I whip out the energy audit and I do that. Now, this is what made it magic, dude. Okay, this is what made it magic. This is why it took me 3 years and why it should take you guys less than a year now, because I had to figure out this one thing that happened in year 3 of figuring this process out. Was I had my ratios, but then I didn't have a game plan and a roadmap to get that done. How do I now move these things over? Because in my mind, I was wrestling with things. I was going, okay, these things over here that drain my energy make me money. How do I get rid of those things? Most of these things over here that give me energy, I don't have a map in my brain how they're going to make me money right now. I don't know how I can just do strategy, no execution with the way that I was thinking about business before. I don't know how I can just hop on podcasts and talk about entrepreneurship and have that make me money. If I do that all day, I'm going to go broke. These things over here make me money. And so then I went to the energy draining list and I said, okay, let me circle 1 or 2 or 3 of these things. And let me just like think about how many hours a week am I spending on each one of these things that really drain my energy the most. Maybe the first one is writing emails. I'm just using an example. And let's say that one's 7 hours a week. This other one down here is 3 hours a week. And then this other one here is 4 hours a week. You add that up. I'm not good at math here. We add it up. Let's say it's 13 hours a week. All right, sweet. There's 13 hours a week spending these things that are killing me the most, but they make me money, so I can't stop doing them. So then I'm like, okay, that's my mission right now. The first in this quarter, my mission is to get rid of those. I create a process around it. I delegate it, or I decide to completely get rid of it and give myself permission to never do it again. Some of them I got rid of. Some of them I made processes and delegated. Now, the cool thing is I now had permission in my mind to delegate those. I knew what they were worth. So I was willing to pay more money to better people to get those done. Like that was the problem I had before, is I was always trying to go after low wage people that I was trying to get a deal on people. And I'm like, I'm still have to manage all these tasks. Like they might be doing the task, but I'm managing it and it sucks. And so I did that. I'd add that up. There's 14 hours a week. Then I'd go to the other side. I'd go to the energy giving side, DJ. I'd be like, sweet. What am I going to now fill that 14 hours a week with over on this column? From this energy giving side, I'm going to drag over 1 or 2 of those things. I'm going to fill it. And over that 1, 2, 3 years, what happened was I started to create processes and delegate and get rid of the energy draining things. And I started intentionally bringing over the energy giving things. Magically, like the reason we started the Carrot Cast in the summer of 2016 is because I was in an energy draining mode again. And there are a lot of things I was doing as we were hiring, things that were draining my energy. And I'm like, man, I love calls like this. I love it. But how am I going to make money on a podcast with Carrot and stuff? Like, I don't know how that's going to happen. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if I make any money from it. I just want to do the podcast to give myself energy. That's it. Like, if that's all the podcast does for me, win. Now, the podcast has been way more than that now. But what I did was I replaced my writing time. That's something people paid me a lot of money to do. And I'm really good at writing content that ranks well in Google that converts people to customers. So every week I was writing a 1,000 to 1,500 word blog post on our website. It drained my energy, but I was really good at it. I'm like, okay, let me find like the best possible content writer I can find who's amazing at this stuff. That guy is now the editor-in-chief of Shopify Plus. Like, he is the editor-in-chief of a massive company. He was my ghostwriter for 2 years. I paid him $1,000 an article. People are going to look at me and go, you're crazy. Why would you do that? I don't care what I was paying him. I knew the result was going to be great because he's really good at it. And also, even more, I knew I was gaining myself energy, and that was way worth $1,000 an article for me. So hey, that changed my life.
So that's dude. That's you just keep delivering, man. People are going to be, dude. I think this might be the most listened to, watched podcast. So as far as shares, because this is like some valuable stuff, man. So a lot of people say, and I've even thought this, and this even helps me, because as an entrepreneur, the Achilles heel of all of us, man. Especially we came from a sports background. I think even maybe more so is we've always done everything ourselves, right? If I'm getting in the box, man, I gotta swing the bat. It's up to me to get a hit. I've got to, handle this. I've got to handle this task. And it's this, if it's going to be done right, I have to do this, right? And I'm doing that. I still do that, but I'm getting better at delegating, letting go. One of the gals that I delegate and let a lot of stuff go to just commented, "Looking good, guys." And so thank you, Laura. We love you. And so, but that's the Achilles heel, I think, of all entrepreneurs. Everyone listen to this, it's entrepreneur. I can almost guarantee you that that's probably your Achilles heel. And we've all been told, and I've been told, and I've even told people, hey, do what you're good at. And like you hear, there's so many people out there like Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Which is very popular. Mm-hmm. Focus on what you're good at and push all your chips in, and the stuff that you're not good at, you delegate it, outsource it. However, you threw a really awesome twist on this, and your point of view is, yeah, you might be good at something, and you might really love doing it. You might get passion and joy out of it. But if you don't, you might be really good at something and you just hate doing it, or it doesn't fuel you. It doesn't give you energy, right? It doesn't fuel your it's not, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it doesn't fuel you. And so you're saying, which is really awesome, man. And I'm going to take into account this and literally sit down after this and do some brainstorming. But
do the energy audit, man. Like seriously, the energy audit changed my life. And when I don't do it, it kills me. One thing I want to toss in just before it flies out of my brain. It might have just flown out of my brain, actually. No, here we go. So when we're talking about, going all in your strengths, like Gary Vee talks about, dude, I agree with him. Like I'm 100% in the same mindset. The problem is when I first heard that. So here's some history for you, Gary Vee history. His very, very first ever paid speaking gig in 2008. I was at that live. I didn't go there for him. I went there for something else.
Gary Vaynerchuk's first speaking event.
Gary Vaynerchuk's first ever paid speaking gig in his life. I was at that in Orlando, Florida in 2008, right around the time it was before he launched his first book. Like he was the wine guy. He wasn't a social media guy at that time. And we were talking after that session, and he inspired me. Like I love golf, and dude, he was like, go all in your passion, crush it on your passion, all that stuff. And in my mind, what I took that to be is, cool, I've got to build a business around my passion. I love golf. I must need to be a golf blogger, right? And so what happens is we take what people say and we misinterpret what it actually means. When he says go all in your strengths, what a lot of people do is they look at, what am I really, really good at? I should go all in on that. But the problem is we could be really amazingly better at something else that we haven't given ourselves a chance to do, because we haven't gone through a process like the energy audit to give us the time to do it. And that's what was happening with me, man, is I was really good at all this other stuff. People, like big companies were paying me a lot of money to do stuff. I had a darn consulting gig that was well over 10 grand a month. They were paying me on a retainer. Like, sweet, I must have been good at something there. But the only part I liked about it was the strategy. That was it. Like I could walk in and map out the strategy on the whiteboard, and then I was like gone, and I hated every other part of it. And I could talk on the phone with the client, the head of a CEO of a $700 million company, and I could sell the crap out of that because I was so convicted about what I did. I'm a really good salesperson. I love selling. The rest of it I don't want to do. And the thing was, dude, when I was looking at going all in on my strengths were what people paid me to do, which I thought was consulting and delivering a result. I never gave myself a chance to go, what if I could just walk in a room and just do strategy and leave? Like, what would that look like? Like, what if I could just walk in a room or hop on a podcast and just talk about entrepreneurship and mindset and leave? And I didn't have to talk about a product and sell a product. How would that work? How would that actually build a business? And so then I'm like, I just want to educate people and teach people and inspire people. I want to do marketing strategy. When I want to roll up my sleeves, I roll up my sleeves because I dig that. But then as soon as I'm done with it, I need to leave and have other people come in and finish it. So that's the way I built my business. We have 20 some odd employees that are high follow through people.
So it's basically doing the things that that you love doing the things that give you energy, that fuel your fire, that have you like feeling like, you just, ran a marathon, that you're just exhilarated.
Yep.
The stuff that you love to do. And you can delete or delegate the other things, even if you're good at some of those things. If it's not giving you energy, if it's not something you really get a joy out of doing, it's in your best interest, I should say, to either delete, because you're going to burn out, right? Yeah. At some point, if you're doing something that you don't love, if you're doing something that doesn't give you energy and fuel you, you're gonna burn out. I've had it happen. And so since you went this route, obviously, you've built Carrot, and I have a question for you, but you built Carrot into a very successful company, multi-million-dollar company, and you were really, or you were named 40 under 40. I said 30 under 30, but hey, man, we got to take 10 years off. Like I just turned 47, man, so I got to, like, what's that show? The Do-Over. You see that? Where he says, "Hey, man, you got to say you're 10 years younger." So
that's right.
So, 40 under 40 in Portland, built a multi-million-dollar company, love serving people, love helping people. So your specialty with Carrot, let's share what that is real quick. But, you're like, obviously, like, with Carrot Cast and stuff, which, by the way, man, when am I going to be on Carrot Cast?
Dude, I need to get you on there, man. Most of my episodes late.
Dude, I gotta put you on the spot, man, because we can never connect by phone.
Well, let's get it scheduled up, because most of my Carrot Casts as of late haven't had guests on them, because I've been really bad at getting the things scheduled. They've been me on my cell phone talking as I'm driving home in my truck about stuff we're talking about here, like what's on my mind as an entrepreneur and how can I help unlock someone else. So before we hang up, let's get it on the calendar.
Okay, and so so your specialty is helping people basically generate leads, right? And so in this busy market, right now it's it's a very competitive market. It's supply and demand. In the real estate world, we can talk about that all day. But share with me and share with everyone on here, like, how does someone stand out, or how does someone in a busy market like it is right now, aside from staying ahead of the curve, aside from following up with people, aside from just, doing the things that you need to do, what are some things that people can do to separate themselves, to generate more leads and more business in an economy that we're in right now in August of 2018?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the biggest thing, and I'll tell a short story here in a bit, but the biggest thing that I think a lot of people right now are thinking about, they're trying to think of more tactical stuff. They're thinking of the mechanics. Like you said, what system do I need to put in place to do this? What's the one thing that will make all of those other systems that I'm able to put in place better? Like if I put follow-up in place, if I hire people, if I start doing online marketing, if I start ramping up my direct mail or start cold calling, what's the one thing that will make it all better? And the one thing that we found that's going to make it all better is, how do you build yourself up as the credible, go-to, trustworthy source that they should choose, right? And let's think about examples in our own lives. When we're looking at, I'm just making stuff up, when we're looking at hiring a contractor, or when we're looking at going and getting a real estate agent to work with, or making some sort of big decision, what do we do and how do we make those decisions? If you're going to buy a car, do you walk into that dealership, hop on a car, and just drive away? Or do we do research? Oftentimes we research. We look, what's this dealership doing? What's their price? Do they have any benefits and spiffs and whatever? Like you're researching around, and your clients.
Could I do that when I'm ordering a pizza?
That's the thing, right? So if you magnify that out with the house seller who just inherited a house, they're comparing options. I think we just have to be okay with that in a market like this. We have to be okay, and we have to know that more often than not every time, but more often than not, your sellers are comparing options. And usually those options offer almost the same thing you do. If you're a house flipper, wholesaler, or real estate agent, they're all offering, if you're a house flipper, wholesaler, I can buy your house fast, close with cash, no fees. So like if you're a real estate agent, I can help you list your house in the MLS. I can show people the house. I'll put a sign in front of the house with my big old fat face on it. Like, all of them offer the same thing and about the same fees. Now, you might have a house flipper or wholesaler that might make a higher offer or a little bit lower offer, where they're trying to be the Walmart of wholesalers by competing on price. But the ones that I see winning the best are trying not to compete on price, but compete on value and trust. And so here's a few things that you guys can do in this market right now to win on value and trust. The first thing that is probably the hardest for people to do because they're scared about it, but this is the way that we've won with Carrot. Like, there's not any lack of competitors. There's literally people, I saw one yesterday, that ripped our stuff off completely. They thought they ripped it off completely, but I looked at it within 5 seconds. I noticed like 6 things they're going to torpedo the conversion rate on that website that they didn't know, because they didn't put in the 6 years of conversion rate testing to find why that thing was there. And so the reason we've won is because we've built, number one, a mission and purpose that we're not shy about telling people. So I think all investors, agents, doesn't matter, you should do yourself a favor and really work hard and struggle with it. If you're not struggling with it, it's probably not the right one. Struggle with finding, what is my mission in this business and how does it actually help other people? Okay. If your mission is just to reach $1 million or whatever, you're going to pass right by that, or maybe not even get to it. You're going to beat yourself up over it. And if you pass it, sweet, you're going to look at the next goal now, and you're never going to be content. You're always going to be unhappy with your business. But have a true mission that helps people. Our mission is add humanity to business and help people regain precious time in their lives for things that matter. Because I know right now in today's day and age, humanity is getting yanked out of business. Everything's getting automated away. People have their faces in their cell phones all day. Their kids have their faces in their cell phones all day. People are on Facebook. People are in this. People are in that. You go into darn McDonald's these days, you can order without talking to a person. I'm like, I see the efficiency of it. I hate what this is going to do to humanity. So that's part of our mission. And a software for real estate investor company, why is that part of our mission? Because I want it to be, and I'm pumped about it, right? And so the second part of it is I want to unlock our users to be able to go out there and make a bigger impact. How do we do that? By helping them save a lot of time. How do we do that? By making our software easier, training better strategy, the whole thing. So how do you find your version of that? Now, I'm going to circle up to why this is important and give you a real good action item here in a second. Because a lot of people might be looking at this going, yeah, I've heard this before. Tell me about the cool, ad that you can put on Facebook, that I can put on Facebook to make this better. You know what? That cool ad is way more effective when you have another ad right next to it that they see the next day that talks about why you do what you do. Because people work with people that believe in similar things. People work with people that believe in what you believe in. If you can make people believe in what you believe in, and there's a common tie, they're going to take a lower offer because they want to work with you. That's just going to happen. Okay, the next thing is, how do you niche? How do you niche? So find that mission and purpose, work that into your content, work it into your website. At the very least, go to your about page and put in your core values that you believe in at the very least. Here's the core values of our business and what we truly believe in, both in work and outside of work. This is the way we live. If you live this same way, if you resonate with this suite, you might like us. You're not saying those words, but that's what they're going to pick up. So next is, what are you niching down on? Are you going to really focus on being amazing at probate and inherited houses? Are you going to really focus on being amazing at, this part of a neighborhood or this city or whatever it is? I'm not even saying you have to niche in on a type of a house or a type of a seller. You could niche in on, this is the type of unique selling proposition I'm going to offer people, and this is what we're doing, right? But you got to niche and specialize in something. If you're not an expert in something, then people are going to look for the expert, even if the person is giving them a lower offer, because they think that they trust that expert better. They're actually going to close on time because they understand my situation better. And then next, what you do is you need to create content, y'all, like you do. A lot of people are scared of doing it. You're doing it right here. What's happening is when people are getting on this call and watching you interview people every week, they're getting to know DJ better. So when they want to up-level their business, they already know who DJ is, kind of, because they've been listening to these calls and they can see him, and they can see he likes baseball in the background, and they've heard some of his background, and they've been introduced to some of his friends who vet him and verify him on these calls. Like, you're doing this stuff. And I don't care if you're a house flipper, a wholesaler, real estate agent, selling toilets, I don't care what you're doing. We are entering the age of differentiation by expertise and content. And if people want a really sobering thing here, let me walk you through this. So I've got my cell phone right here. And I think a lot of people have been talking about Open Door, a lot of people have been talking about other companies like that. Zillow is starting to make offers on houses, all kinds of stuff, right? And I've heard phrases that technology, I don't remember the exact words, but technology is going to consume the world, right? So we're in a very low technology industry, honestly, right now. Our technology isn't game changing. It just makes things easier and more effective. But if you look at Uber or you look at Airbnb, those technologies completely change the way that people get rides in cities where they don't know people and they don't have a car. They completely change the way people stay in cities. I'm going to be in 2 Airbnbs the next month instead of choosing hotels. Like, it changed the way I travel. And so what's going to happen in real estate is more and more technology companies are going to start to come in and gobble things up. And they're going to start to create this advantage and this edge. And what they're going to do is they're going to take that middle, they're going to take that section in the middle of those transactions that are easier to do without a lot of expertise, without a lot of hand-holding. So looking at the real estate agent side of things, I think most people honestly do not want to have a real estate agent with them when they're looking at a house to buy. Mm-hmm. I don't, like, under a certain age, like, I don't. If I'm looking at a list of houses that I want to buy to live in, I want the list of houses and I want to go in them. And I don't want to have to have a real estate agent with me. Now, if I want to negotiate or make an offer or something, yeah, let's bring the agent in. Like, at that point, now I might want a little bit of assistance. But almost no one these days under a certain age wants to go with a real estate agent to look at houses. Yeah. So you look at technology, Zillow, I guarantee you're one of those, Zillow, Realtor.com or whatever, they're getting close, but they haven't launched something like this yet. What if a seller could, like, actually list their house with Zillow? Okay.
Oh, dude, it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I was saying it's so funny you were talking about, not to cut you off, but this is something that I want to, I was just telling someone, like, the other day, I think that real estate agents are one of the next future areas that's going to really get punished and really hit hard, because people are going to, listen, if investors and buyers can take the middleman out, call it what you want, it's a realtor is more in the middleman, but I'm just saying there is kind of that perception that, oh, well, if I can do it myself and do it easier and save money and make it more convenient, I'm doing that, right? It's like everyone said, oh, Blockbuster, people love coming into Blockbuster and buying videos. And that guy was freaking wrong, because as soon as streaming came on, you could sit in your drawers and hit a button and order a movie. It took over,
It did, and it's going to do the same thing with real estate. So kind of go back to that example, right? So people are already on those apps flipping through at night. And I'm talking about the retail side. Your sellers are doing the same thing on the house flipping wholesaling side. But, they're flipping through the app, like they're browsing for months and months looking at houses. When they're ready to get serious, what's going to happen is I'm like, okay, cool. I want to see these 5 houses on Sunday afternoon, ideally between noon and 4. And these are ones for sale. You click it just like you're requesting an Uber or whatever. It sends it out to all those sellers. And it says, hey, someone's requesting to look at your house between these hours, yes or no. The ones that say yes, cool. The ones that say no, it suggests them another time, right? Okay, cool. And then the ones that say yes, it automatically then puts them into your thing. You hop in your car at 11:52, and then it already has your whole route routed by efficiency of drive in there, okay? And this was my next startup if I had enough like ambition, and I'd have to move out of Roseburg to start this one, I think. But so then it routes you to each house. You get to the house, just like Open Doors already do. You get to the house, and then it unlocks the darn house from your phone, recognizes the person that was in there. It's tied to a social profile, so they know that you're not an axe murderer, and they're going to rip up the house. And then you walk out of there. Then you leave notes about the house. You get into the next one. Now, after your whole thing, it says, do you have any questions, or do you want to make an offer on any of these? You choose the one. You can make an offer right there with the seller. But if you that's your bread and butter houses, where it's probably not going to be your first house that you bought. It's probably their second or third house, but it's a bread and butter transaction with someone who's comfortable with it. That can all happen in technology. All the contracts can happen in there, and everything. Now, what's going to happen is all those agents that are just banking on being the thing in the middle to make money. Oh, I have access to MLS. You don't. So pay me 3%, 6% in order to do that, right? All those people are going to become call center employees of Zillow, or they're going to get out of the industry.
Absolutely.
Where when you're looking to do that, like, oh, would you like to connect with a real estate professional? It's a person who was an agent 2 years ago, but didn't specialize, didn't do what I'm about to tell you to do with content and expertise. and now they're a call center employee making $14 an hour.
Yep.
Okay, nothing wrong with that, but if that's what you want, cool. So then the other parts of the transactions are when someone needs an expert. They need expertise. They need to be guided. Then that's where you crack through as an agent or an investor with content and separate yourself from other people. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm the best in the world at this. Because for all of you newer investors going, well, how in the world could I ever compete then if I don't have the experience? It's not about that. It's about likability. It's about building trust and credibility with people. Okay. I could be a real estate agent starting the industry today, and I could build more credibility within 30 days than probably 80% of all real estate agents in this town by putting out content and who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing, going out there and showing houses and showing, hey, here's this cool house and here's what I learned here. And if you're going to buy a house in the river, you need to look at the water system. Here's 3 types of water systems and blah, 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 blah. How does it relate to real estate investors? You just leave a house that inherited a house on probate, and it's in probate. Sweet, you do a short content series in that, 3 to 5 minute videos is all. When you walk out of there, hey, this is DJ. I just left this house in South Los Angeles or whatever it is. And actually, they inherited this house. It was their uncle, unfortunately passed away. There's 3 siblings that are now having to deal with this. And if you inherited a house and you have a similar situation, you know someone who did, I'm going to walk you through what I walked them through and how to solve this. Okay, it's going to take about 5 minutes. Then you walk them through it. If you have any other questions or want us to do the same thing with you and make you a fair cash offer, just go over here. We specialize in probate. We help people do this all the time, and go learn our process. They land on your website. Now it's not just, oh, we can buy your house for cash. We buy houses, close fast. Like now they go there and they see credibility. They see your content series on how you help people with probate. They see your content series on how you help people in divorce, and you're actually walking out of houses where you help someone. That's that next phase, y'all. That's the next phase. And I think a lot of people don't want to hear it. They want to hear that I can turn on a pay-per-click ad, I can put in a follow-up sequence, and I can have my business just survive the next 5 years. You can do that this year. You could totally do that this year. I think in 2 years, it's going to be a different story.
Dude, it's so funny you brought that up, man, and we'll wrap up here. But it's so crazy you brought that up, because I totally agree. I think, we can use Zillow. I think Zillow is going to have their own people working there. You go out exactly like you laid it out, because of some other, sites and things I shared with you earlier. And you're already seeing it, and things are changing and shifting. And I think if you don't want to be a blockbuster, man, you have to keep evolving. And if, people, if you, right now, if you're an agent, you list a home and it's going to sell. You don't have to, be great at anything really. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying there's not great agents, there are. And I think the ones that are great in branding themselves and creating a following and adding value and doing videos and teaching people and building their following and so people know them and they're familiar with them, those are the ones that are going to be here when the shift happens. And the ones that aren't doing that and they're not investing in that time, and they're just, riding out this good time, they're going to get hit like a ton of bricks and their business is going to be gone. I really do. So I put your website on here. Those of you that are listening, if you're watching this, I want you, listen, you guys, I 100% completely endorse. In fact, I'm going to talk to Trevor about working with our academy. We actually did, previously, and
I didn't follow through on it, man. That was my bad there.
Hey, you were doing a bunch of stuff that you didn't like doing, man. You were writing too many blogs.
I was.
So, but we need to circle back up because there's a lot of value there. But those of you that want to, if you want to get more leads, if you're a wholesaler, if you're someone that's looking to get more cash buyer leads, if you're looking to get private, sellers, if you're looking to get more leads for your wholesaling flipping business, absolutely check out Trevor's company. It's www.oncarrot.com. That's www.oncarrot.com. If you're listening to the podcast right now, you can go there. You can also call Trevor on his cell. I'm going to give his cell out. No, I'm just kidding.
Pass it up there. Make it happen.
You go the other day, you said, man, I've got 294 unreturned texts. But you about gave Trevor a heart attack there. But but go to oncarrot.com, you guys and gals, and check it out. Trevor, give it wrapping up here. share with the, just give a 1 or 2 minute, I guess your elevator pitch on what they can expect and what your websites do and what you guys do for people and who your client is.
Totally, man. Yeah, we mainly focus on what we call the high achieving investor. And that's someone who, the biggest value we can provide to someone is someone who already has something going on, right? You've already got some sort of traffic, whether it's offline or online. You can plug Carrot right in and amplify that immediately. A good example, Tom Caffarella, #1 home buyer in Boston, multiple 7-figure a year business, was already getting 50 leads a week through Facebook, through his old website, plugged in his Carrot site that's optimized for conversion, doubled to 100 leads a week. He was losing over $300,000 a year in profits because his website wasn't dialed in for performance. We specialize in that. We're the best in the world at it for this industry. And then from there, if you're a newer investor, we have the path and we can help you there too, where you don't have to go through the learning curve on how to set up a website that actually performs, how to dial in the tech stack. If you're wanting to do SEO and rank well in Google, there's no one else in the industry that has more websites in the top 5 for motivated house seller phrases in the world than Carrot, and we can help you there. At the end of the day, though, if you were to boil it all down, every real estate investor joins and becomes an entrepreneur because you want freedom, you want flexibility, you want to make an impact someday, and you want to build the finances. And the problem that I've experienced in actually achieving freedom and flexibility is consistency, predictability, and momentum with your lead flow. When you have a lead flow mechanism that is consistent, it's predictable, you know, next month about what it's going to be, and builds momentum, which content and SEO build momentum. And we're not just saying that this is content and SEO, paid traffic. We can amplify your offline marketing. When you can build consistency, predictability, momentum, you can finally unlock that entrepreneurial dream. You can get the freedom and flexibility. We help you do that.
And what kind of leads specifically, Trevor, when you say leads, just clarify what kind of leads that you get people?
Yeah, so most of our clients are house flippers, wholesalers, land and note buyers, and a lot of real estate agents now too. So the majority of the 60-something thousand plus leads a month that come into our platform are motivated house sellers. That's the majority of them. Next is cash buyers. There's tens of thousands of cash buyer leads that come in every month through our system. And then a mixture from there is rent to own leads, tenant buyers, land sellers and land buyers, people who are looking for owner finance properties. We help people, even mobile homes. Those are websites we're building now because people are using our system for generating mobile home seller leads. Yep. So anything related to a real estate transaction, we can help you get those leads. And we have a lot of them coming in every month.
Sweet, sweet. And you guys have, obviously thousands of members, that are happy, love you guys. And you built a incredible business, man. And hey, we went, which is actually not even a big deal. We went like maybe 10, 15 minutes over, but dude, I didn't even want to stop you, because this value, man, I could keep going for another hour, but so those of you that want to check out, if you're wanting to see how you can, get more leads for your business, be it cash buyers, motivated sellers, any of that stuff, go on and check out the www.oncarrot.com and check it out. Trev, where do they go when they go there?
Yeah, just go there, check out kind of what we're about. You can go to the plans page and choose the plan that's right for you. The majority of our clients choose the Content Pro plan. That's the one that's more optimized for people, where you got the weekly coaching calls, you've got our full system, a lot of our marketing suite, the whole thing. So just go over there. You can take a demo if you want and check it out.
All right, man. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. Thanks, Trev, for being on here. Stay on here with me for a sec. I'm going to end the broadcast, but thank you all for being on here, and we'll see you on the next show next week on Wednesday, 12:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love all of you. Thanks for your support. Share this if you like it, if you got something good out of it, and we'll see you soon. See you guys.
Thank you, guys.